It has been a week since a deadly earthquake struck Turkey and Syria, killing thousands. But amid the despair, there have also been stories of miracles. This is one of them. When Nikla Kamaz gave birth to her second son on January 27th, she named him Yagaz, meaning brave one. Just 10 days later, at 4:17 local time, Nikla was awake feeding her son at their home in southern Turkey's Hatay province. Moments later, they were buried under mounds of rubble. Nikla and her family lived on the second floor of a modern 5-story building in the town of Samandağ. It was a nice building, she says, and she had felt safe there. She did not know that morning that the area would be torn apart by the earthquake, with buildings damaged and destroyed at every turn. When the earthquake started, I wanted to go to my husband who was in the other room, and he wanted to do the same thing, she says. But as he tried to come to me with our other son, the wardrobe fell onto them and it was impossible for them to move. As the earthquake got bigger, the wall fell, the room was shaking, and the building was changing position. When it stopped, I didn't realize that I had fallen one floor down. I shouted their names, but there was no answer. The 33-year-old found herself lying down with her baby on her chest, still held in her arms. A fallen wardrobe next to her had saved their lives by preventing a large slab of concrete from crushing them. The pair would remain in this position for almost 4 days. Day 1, lying in her pajamas beneath the rubble, Nikla could see nothing but pitch black, so she had to rely on her other senses to work out what was going on. To her relief, she could tell immediately that Yagaz was still breathing. Because of the dust, she struggled at first to breathe, but said it soon settled. She was warm in the rubble. She felt as though there were children's toys beneath her, but could not maneuver herself to check, or to make herself more comfortable. Other than the wardrobe, the soft skin of her newborn son, and the clothes they wore, she could feel nothing but concrete and debris. In the distance, she could hear voices. She tried to shout for help and bang on the wardrobe. "Is there anyone there? Can anyone hear me?" she called. When that didn't work, she picked up the small bits of rubble that had fallen next to her and used those to bang against the wardrobe, hoping it would be louder. She was scared to hit the surface above her in case it collapsed. Still, no one replied. Nikla realized there was a possibility nobody would come. "I was terrified," she says. Life underground in the darkness beneath the rubble, Nikla lost all sense of time. This wasn't what life was supposed to be like. You plan lots of things when you have a new baby, and then all of a sudden you're under rubble, she says. Still, she knew she had to look after Yagaz, and was able to breastfeed him in the confined space. There was no source of water or food that she could access for herself. In desperation, she tried unsuccessfully to drink her own breast milk. Nikla could feel the rumble of drills overhead and hear footsteps and voices, but the muffled sounds felt far away. She decided to save her energy and remain quiet unless the noises from outside came closer. She thought constantly of her family, the baby on her chest, and the husband and son lost somewhere in the debris. She also worried about how other loved ones had fared in the earthquake. Nikla did not think she would make it out of the rubble, but Yagai's presence gave her a reason to remain hopeful. He slept much of the time, and when he woke crying, she would silently feed him until he settled down. The rescue, after more than 90 hours underground, Nikla heard the sound of dogs barking. She wondered if she was dreaming. The barks were followed by the sound of voices. "Are you okay?" Knock once for yes, one called into the rubble. "What apartment do you live in?" She had been found. Rescuers carefully dug into the ground to locate her as she held Yagaz. The darkness was broken by a torchlight shining into her eyes. When the rescue team from the Istanbul Municipality Fire Department asked how old Yagaz was, Nikla couldn't be sure. She only knew that he was 10 days old when the earthquake struck. After handing Yagaz to the rescuers, Nikla was then carried away on a stretcher in front of what seemed to be a large crowd. She couldn't recognize any faces. As she was moved to an ambulance, she sought confirmation that her other son had also been saved. After the rubble, when she got to hospital, Nekla was greeted by family members who told her that her husband of 6 years, Irfan, and her 3-year-old son, Yajit Karim, had been rescued from the rubble. But they had been transferred hours away to a hospital in Adana province, having sustained serious injuries to their legs and feet. Remarkably, Nekla and Yagais had suffered no serious physical injuries. They were kept in hospital for 24 hours for observation before being discharged. Nekla had no home to return to, but a family member brought her back to a makeshift blue tent crafted from wood and tarpaulin. There are 13 of them there in total. All have lost their homes. In the tent, the family support each other, making pots of coffee over a small stove, playing chess, and sharing stories. Nekla is trying to come to terms with what happened to her. She says she owes Yagais for saving her life. "I think if my baby hadn't been strong enough to handle this, I wouldn't have been either," she explains. Her only dream for her son is that he never experiences anything like this again. "I'm very happy he's a newborn baby and won't remember anything," she says. As a call comes in, Nekla grins. From a hospital bed, Irfan and Yajit Karim smile and wave. "Hi, warrior, how are you, my son?" Irfan asks his baby through the screen. Additional reporting by Imra Bulut.